Hi, it's Kate Lynch. Welcome back to the Top of the Barn. I'm sitting here with Kendra Olsher, and we're going to hear Kendra's story. And the way that this came to fruition is Kendra is a client at Custom Fit, and we met initially through another client who recommended you give me a shout and for cross-training because you are a dancer.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what kind of dancing you do and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, I'm a competitive Highland Dancer. I've competed pretty internationally, competed in Scotland, down in North Carolina, all throughout Ontario, a little bit into Quebec. And I started when I was 3 because I wanted to do what my big sister was doing. So perfect copycat sister. So now it'll be 23 years that I've been dancing now.
Right, because how old are you? So you're 26?
6.
Yeah, 26. You just turned 26, didn't you?
27 tomorrow.
27 tomorrow. Oh, that's right. I knew you had a birthday coming up. And so cross-training for dancing, and because of the location of where you live, we just kind of worked because we're rural and so are you.
Exactly.
So you tried Pilates, and of course, because you're an athlete, you wanted to
kick it up a notch,
and so you came to cross-train. And cross-train we hold in the barn, and I'll never forget your first cross-train class, which I tease you about regularly.
I won't either.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I showed up on week 4, and here everything goes in 4-week stretches. So week 4 is the most intense, the most repetition. So it was very, very intense for me, but it was kind of awesome at the same time because everything changed up the next week, and I thought, oh, cool, I'm going to be able to build into this one, and it worked out great, and I love it.
Excellent.
And you didn't scare me away.
I thought for sure after that class, because we just threw you in. And,
yep.
and I think you weren't sure where or what time and everything, so you showed up at the last second, too, so I couldn't even give you a spiel before we started. But I had confidence because I'd seen you twice in Pilates, and I knew you were an athlete, and I knew you were a go-getter, and I thought, you know what, she's either going to love this or she's not. I'm going to make sure she's safe, but we just let you go. And I thought there was a chance, 50-50 shot, we'd never see you again. And lo and behold, you're still here.
Back. I returned.
And you've even slid into some yoga. So what do you think about yoga?
I like it. It's more challenging for me in certain ways, just because I do have quite a bit of flexibility and stuff with having done the dancing so long. But for me, working with my hands, my wrists are weak and tend to give me more problems, if you would. So yoga really works that out, and I like yoga. I like coming to yoga and being able to do working on the different poses and stuff like that, and some of the balances and things are very challenging, but I like that. I like the challenge. So. And
tell us what you do for your profession.
I'm a registered dental hygienist, and I also have my certificate in dental assisting.
It's interesting, a lot of people when they first start in yoga or Pilates or cross-train, any kind of fitness, especially if they work with their hands, they're panicked about feeling any sensation in their hands. And did you experience that kind of fear of uh-oh?
Yeah, and I think too, just having danced for so long on my feet, for my feet to feel sore, my toes, my legs, my knees, nothing new. But for me, for hands, because it's part of my work and just because it's something I'm not used to or accustomed to, it is very different. But it's kind of neat being able to just hold on a second and think about it and think, okay, no, this is fine, it's going to get better kind of thing. So, yeah, it is a bit scary at first, but you do get over it, and you do realize that, it's a sensation. I'm not in pain. It's just a feeling. So, yeah, you move through it.
Yeah, and I think what happens, thank you, Betty. Come here, Betty. Betty. I think what happens is people, like you said, because it's your livelihood, you just worry, right?
Yeah.
You worry. That makes a lot of sense. So what happened this weekend was we finished cross-train. Ironically enough, it was week number 4 of a grid, so it was pretty intense. Yeah. And it was a fairly tight little group of people on Saturday morning, and we were all done. And it is getting colder, and at the end of our classes, we always circle up, and we like to check in and see how people did and what their thoughts are in terms of the progression for the previous month. Yeah. And at the very last moment, you said,
I'm going to be coughing a lot and sounding rather horrible because I have cystic fibrosis. And I just thought it was a good time to kind of let everybody know that, if I am making horrible noises and coughing and stuff, 1, I'm not going to make you sick, but 2, it's really good for me. It's great to have exercise and do this kind of stuff, especially now with the cross train, including so much cardio, the jumping and the hopping and all that kind of stuff, it does kind of go back to my Highland background, but also it just moves stuff, and it's so good for me. Cystic fibrosis is a lung and digestive disorder, so my lungs, I do treatments every day. I do 1.5 hours to 2 hours twice a day of inhaled treatments and physiotherapy treatments. So used to be when I was a kid, it was actual physically clapping, and then now it's progressed. I have a machine that actually I strap on, and it looks like a little kayaking vest, ends at my rib cage, and it puffs up with air, and it oscillates back and forth and changes pressures and stuff, and that shakes me up enough and kind of gets stuff moving around, because what happens is the mucus is really, really thick. It doesn't move around the same way, so if we don't do stuff to move it, we end up with pneumonias and infections and stuff like that. So exercise is fantastic, but you got to do the other stuff as well.
So I'm sitting behind the camera here with my mouth open. I'm thinking about 27-year-old, healthy, athletic, full of life person who is working, is married, is making time for exercise 2 or 3 days a week with us. I don't know what else you're doing. You're probably dancing on the sides. Thank you, Betty. And is doing 1.5 hours twice a day, you said?
Yeah.
Twice a day of treatments to stay up and running.
Yeah.
I really know very little about cystic fibrosis. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I remember when you first told me about it, but you seemed you seemed confident that you were able to do this, and I trusted you.
Yeah.
Because of my lack of knowledge about it. I mean, I certainly researched it enough to make sure that this was not going to, take you out of the game. But I thought, wow, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Moving around and all that jumping up and down is great for you, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic. They used to sort of shuttle us away and think that we shouldn't do too much, and then now the big change is no, get them moving, get them doing whatever activities they want. And one of the studies years ago proved that trampolining was one of the best exercises that people with CF can do, because you get the bounce, you get the aerobic exercise, all this kind of stuff. And we joked in our family, well, I've been doing that for years without the trampoline because of all the Highland dancing that I've done. And so anything that you can do to keep moving and running around and doing what you can is awesome. And I mean, there's always crazy stories out there of these CF people running marathons with their oxygen tanks strapped to their back and stuff like that. And I've been extremely, extremely lucky. But at the same time, I've worked hard to be lucky. I've done all my treatments. I've really, really stuck with it. And part and parcel of that is just my parents really encouraging me and making sure that as a kid, I got it done. It wasn't an issue. It was just something that had to be done, So we got it done. And now it's just normal.
It's what you do.
It's just my routine,
For sure.
I always kind of giggle because working as a hygienist, you try to get people to floss. Oh, I don't have time for that. I'm like, honestly, I have time for this. You can make some time to floss.
That is a genius analogy.
I can't say that, but I want to.
Well, you're saying it now, so I hope people watching this think about that. Think about that the next time you don't have time to floss, you don't have time to exercise, you don't have time to go to the grocery store, which actually leads me to my next piece I want to talk to you about. You and I got together over the summer, and we talked about nutrition. And I, so ignorant about CF, I obviously knew it was a lung disease, but did not know about the link entirely with digestion. So what I was wondering is if you could just share a little bit about the digestive part of CF and what you and I did based on nutrition and maybe some possible changes you've seen.
Yeah, so with cystic fibrosis, you have to take artificial pancreatic enzymes. Because of the thick mucus, it blocks the ducts to the pancreas, and therefore it doesn't release enzymes, so you can't digest your food. That's why I was diagnosed. I was a baby that wasn't gaining weight because I wasn't digesting anything. So with nutrition, I mean, I've always been a meat and potatoes and veggie kind of person, but now I've just changed it around a little bit and included more high fiber and better fruits and veggies and stuff like that. And it's made a big difference for me. It took a little bit of learning on my part with taking my enzymes, especially, avocados and stuff I wasn't accustomed to eating. So it took a little bit of work on my part, along with my disease, to figure out what worked for me, how I had to do it, what I had to take. But I worked it all out, and I'm feeling fabulous. And it's really something I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I'm following.
Cool. So I have a couple of kind of secondary questions to that. The first is one of the things that is happening with the cystic fibrosis was diabetic stuff,
yeah,
right?
So I have cystic fibrosis related diabetes, which is different than regular diabetes because your pancreas actually stops producing insulin. And it's not like regular diabetes where you can take metformin or something to increase your body's supply. Your body is just slowly not doing it. So right away it's insulin. So that was sort of like my sort of kick in the face to really kind of look at my diet and see what I could change and see if I could make it healthier and better and
for sure
make that. I mean, that has happened. I have to be on insulin. That's the case. But, you know, if I can keep it at a lower dose for longer and stuff like that, then that's what I want to do.
For sure. And that's kind of how we got organized, was I was offering nutrition again for the summer, and we chatted about it. Certainly wanted to make sure it was safe based on your doctor's recommendations, but really all we're talking about is real food. We're not talking about shakes and potions and pills and starving and binging and purging and all that stuff. We're just talking about looking at your nutrients is really all we do. So we're looking at your macronutrients, and in particular we're looking at how you feel. Now, one little vanity piece, and then we'll wrap this up. What was the first thing that happened to you when you started to get curious about your nutrition with me that made you just light up like, Canada Day?
What happened for me, my reaction was that my skin cleared up. I've had acne since I was 12, 14, always. Maybe just a little bit here and there, but yeah, it cleared up. It was amazing. So I still get the odd random one, but it's way better than it used to be, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was nice, wasn't it? You were so pumped. I'm like, let me get this straight. She has cystic fibrosis and she has diabetes, and she's so pumped about her skin, her zits. It was awesome, though. Because you know what? The truth is, I think that you are a real testament to focusing on what you can do and remaining curious and doing the work. And my admiration and respect for you is just as big as this barn, if not bigger. So I want to thank you so much for coming today. It's just been great to learn about this, and I'm sure that you will inspire many who watch this. So thanks, Kendra.
I'm glad you asked me to come. Thank you.
And bless you.
Thank you.